Hello friends. So earlier today I put out a plug for new subscribers, and I asked all my friends and family to maybe put the word out. I'm at 900, I want to get to 1,000, and a lot of you did that. And especially if you're not a total gear nerd into things with strings or things with knobs and switches, I want to also make it interesting for you and say thank you and just give you an idea of how I got to where I am today. So I started making YouTube videos in 2011, and I don't know that I had a super clear vision. I just knew that I liked watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I figured I would make a couple, and I had been making Facebook videos at that point with my original Facebook that I had back in the day. And so I started making videos, and I think what really opened the door and made me take YouTube more seriously is I actually had a drum set review. So I used to be really into drumming in the early part of the 2010s, when I had moved out away from my folks' place. I was really in a heavy drumming phase. I had lost interest in guitar because I felt like I had kind of topped out and plateaued as far as I could take it, and so I decided to get really into drumming. Well, I bought this little compact drum set with blue sparkle, and it was the Questlove by Breakbeat set. Right around the time Questlove being on the Jimmy Fallon thing was really popping off, and so I got a drum set while most of the websites still had them as pre-order. I found one in a store, and so I put that video out and had some friends help me film it, and immediately it had a ton of watching and footage, like a lot of engagement. That video had a lot of engagement, and it actually made a few bucks, not a lot. The way the system used to work is you would have to earn $100, and Google would send you in $100 increments how much you earned, and it's like a fraction of a penny per view or something like that, depending on some factor. The formula is a little complicated, but more or less it's a fraction of a cent a view. And so I started taking YouTube more seriously, but I didn't take it as seriously as I could have. I used to get a good amount of views on certain videos, especially around 2015, 2016. During this whole time, my career and my life had kind of taken some different turns. And so in the early part of my YouTube stuff, I was a professional temp. During the recession, I was unable to work my construction job because the work was so scarce and the economy was slowly coming back online. I was a student for 2009 and 2010, and then I became a professional temp just to pay the bills, as I was living on my own at that point, and my unemployment had run out. I was using unemployment while I went to school. And so I was a professional temp, so I would work day jobs for a few bucks over minimum wage that sometimes would last a day or two, or last a week, or if you were lucky, maybe last a month or a little less. And I kind of bounced around doing that for quite a while just to keep money coming in, and I was living off almost nothing. I had accumulated a lot of gear that I had saved up and bought back when I still lived at home, and just with some money that I had earned and just how much I had invested in it. And I actually had a deep love for guitar pedals early in that era. But staying focused on the YouTube content, I didn't have a lot of money for gear until realistically about 2015, 2016. I kind of transitioned from just making a getting by living to starting to take work a lot more seriously and working a lot of hours. And at one point in 2015, I had two jobs, and on June 8th of 2015, I started working for a cabinet company doing their designs and layouts, while I also worked at a large manufacturing job that I had gotten, and I was working weekend shifts. I worked weekend shift at the one job, and I worked during the week at the other job, so I worked about 7 days a week. And initially my goal was to pay down debt, but as that money started rolling in, it was the most money I had had in a long time, and while I was working a lot and it was taking a lot out of me, I was able to buy a lot of gear. And I have pictures on Instagram from that era because I was taking Instagram a lot more seriously because I liked the community. But I also would make a minute-long Instagram video and then also share it on YouTube, and sometimes a little longer than 1 minute. I would write a little snippet of something. And during this time, there was a lot of gear-focused content, but it was kind of like more about the music, like me as a player, demonstrating my abilities as a player back then. And while that is interesting, I don't think, I rethought that approach over time, because yes, the gear stuff gets a lot of views. That's my favorite thing to watch on YouTube, or was at the time, is all these gear reviews. But what I hated about gear reviews at the time is that they were so focused on the player, and that sometimes the players and the people in these videos, they weren't using the equipment in a way that translated to what I did, playing the different kinds of gigs that I did and the music that I liked. I almost never could find examples of how I wanted people to try the gear. So obviously when I went to create my content, I was creating it, using it for the ways I would use it in a much more realistic context. And that brings us to today. What I actually do on a weekly basis right now, primarily, other than occasionally making content of pedals, guitar pedals. So you plug your electric guitar into this and it changes the sound and makes it a lot more interesting. I primarily use my channel to create advertisements or demo content, demo videos of really small shop, low profile, custom guitar pedal builders. They're guitar pedal builders. So it's either a 1 or 2 man team. They might not have a huge social media presence. They're really good at what they do, but they're just trying to take that next step in getting their name out there and their word out there. Often these people work a full-time job or a well-paying part-time job that pays the bills, but they take this passion very seriously, and it's a lot of time-consuming work. I'm trying to think of a great example here. I have a few different ones here, and I have a bunch out there, but the point being, these are people that are really passionate about what they do. They don't charge as much money as some of the more mainstream builders, and usually what they're doing is a lot more interesting than what a lot of the bigger companies are having to do. For a bigger gear manufacturer, they have to make something that is a safe sell. So there's a lot of companies on the market that make things that are very similar to existing products because it's easier to sell something. It's easier to not reinvent the wheel. And for the most part, the small shops that I work for, they make fairly standard guitar pedals as well, but they're much more creative and innovative about it than the bigger companies are, just because they're trying to stand out in their own way. And I have some really cool pieces that was the case. You know, my bud Schock makes a lot of really cool stuff. He is actually the first person, Brandon Schock in Portland, who makes his own pedals. Here's one of his, the Angry Rot. He makes it his goal, as does Garland Effects and Chris Ray Premium Effects. While they do occasionally make clones or things that are more commonly available, their priority is to make unique things of their own design, or make something that's highly practical and a common effect, but do a really good take on it. And I love supporting these people. They care more about what they do. They're willing to support and work with someone like me. I can offer feedback. I can have great interaction with these guys. These are not guys, Pat from Garland, Brandon from Schock, and Chris Ray of Chris Ray Premium Effects. These are guys I can easily DM on a whim, and they will work with me. They will talk to me about what they're doing, what they have coming out, and I would way rather spend my money or help promote any one of those people that really cares about what they do. I also have been doing some stuff. I'm not working for them, but Demonic Machines is a one-man shop based out of SoCal. Thank you, Lucky. I just got this the other day. This sold on Reverb for $42 shipped. I bought another for $60 shipped. Hand-built, handmade, cool graphic, really gnarly sound. Like, these are the people I want to support. This is the people I want to spend money with. I want to tell people. I want people to be interested in what some of these guys do. And so that's primarily the focus of what my YouTube channel is about now. It is very specific and niche, But in addition to doing all of that, and that is my focus, is also finding a way to communicate what I like about music and what I like about gear, and maybe do a little bit of comedy. I know some of it's kind of cringeworthy and dorky, but that is very me. But my goal is to entertain and educate and show people really cool things that I'm excited, that gets me excited. This is what gets me excited. And it's enabled me to create and create freely and be very happy about making videos constantly. So if you made it to this point in the video, leave a comment saying, hey, I made it. Just so I know, I never know how long you watch a video. I know the average watch time, and I know that some people watch 45 seconds and some people watch the whole thing. Huge shout out to my bud, Aaron. He watches every single video and he seems to enjoy it. And I will create a video regularly, if for no other reason than my buddy Aaron to watch it and read his comment, because it brings me great joy. Thank you to everyone who helped today. So far, I know it's still early as I'm filming this video, but to Janie Jansen, Ethan Jansen, my mom, Jake Neely, to Alexi, who also has a YouTube channel, for Greg, the Gear Addict, for sharing. Thank you everyone for sharing my post and trying to get the word out there about what I do. I really appreciate it. I planned on also incorporating more of my takes on things and more of my talking bits as I get more comfortable on camera and have more fun doing it. Anyway, all that being said, a little longer video, a lot of words. I appreciate you, thank you, and I hope you have a good night.